Hello and welcome back to another episode of GP Pod. In this video I'm going to be talking about my journey as an international medical graduate and how I became a GP here in the UK. So I'm originally from Pakistan. I came here back in 2008 and then it took me about 18 months to 2 years to do all my exams at that time. My first exam was IELTS, which is International European Language Testing System. I believe that's what it's called. Now it's been replaced by OET, but at that time in 2008 it was IELTS. So I had to do that exam, and then I had to do PLAG exam, which is the Pre-Linguistic Assessment Board exam, and then I got my GMC registration, and once I got my GMC registration I started applying for different jobs. And during this time I was working as a support worker in mental health, just to help and support me during these exams because they are quite expensive. I got my first job as a foundation year 1 doctor, which was a standalone post down in Yeovil in Somerset, a place I never heard of before I applied the job, but then obviously I got the interview and I got the job, which I was quite happy about. So my first job was in pediatrics, and then went into respiratory medicine. These are obviously 4-month placements, and then I did general surgery. Then I applied for my F2, which was again a standalone post, but I was lucky enough to get the F2 job in the same trust as well. So my placement in F2 was general surgery, pediatrics and A&E. Which was quite helpful really, because it gave me breadth of knowledge and things. And at that time when I got my F2 job, then I started, which was obviously the August time, and as you know, around the September, October time you start thinking about what jobs you need to apply for the next year, because you have to apply before November. So I thought about various different specialities. I thought about the pediatrics, which I quite liked, and I had distinction in pediatrics as well in my final year exams. So I thought I could do that, but when I looked at the training, it was 10-year training pathway, which was quite long. I didn't want to spend all my life and moving around every 6 to 12 months, which I thought was going to be difficult. Then I looked at surgery because I quite liked my time in surgery, but again, because of the difficulty in training and finding a trainee placement, particularly as ST3 level and beyond, and then moving around, wasn't particularly my cup of tea. So I decided not to apply for that, and I quite like the diagnostics fields so for that reason I spent a bit of a time in the radiology department with the radiologists, just to do some work experience for a few days, and I quite enjoyed that. And on the basis of that I applied for radiology training, but I didn't get a placement at the time, so I was a bit disappointed, but I wasn't too disheartened. And then I applied also for the GP training at the time, and just to be frank, it was actually my wife's idea that she wanted me to apply for the GP training. I didn't really know much about the GP training because I came from Pakistan, and I didn't really know what general practice was and what they did. I applied for the training. I did prepare for the exams and stuff, because it wasn't that easy or straight for somebody who's come from abroad, but I managed to get in, and I got placement which was closer to home, which was in Blackburn and Burnley, and I live in Bolton, so which was quite handy. Started my training. My first job was in pediatrics as ST1, then which was for 4 months. Then I went into medicine, acute medicine, for 4 months, and then I went to do A&E for 4 months again. Good experience, but the main eye-opener job for me was when I went into a GP ST2, which was my first GP job, and it was a shock to the system. I was really stressed. I was working really hard, and I was trying, but I was finding it hard because I never knew what general practice was. I had no idea what GPs do up until that moment in time. I never knew that you'd be on your own in a consultation room and you'll be under time pressure, 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Obviously as GP-ST2s, I started at like 30 minutes, but then I soon went down to 20 minutes. But I was finding it really hard at that time that you'll be making decisions about people's health under very limited resources and time. So I found that really hard. And the other thing which I found really hard was dealing with the uncertainty which comes with being a GP, which is obviously one of the skills which we pride ourselves on, but just to learn that skill, it was really, really hard. So I think that job was quite difficult. And what I learned from that was that you do need to spend a bit more time, learn the craft, so to speak. So if you are an ST2, if you come from a similar background as myself, one of my advice to you would be to work with your trainer and to work on those skills, communication skills, right in the beginning of your ST2, and understand the culture, understand that we are at the forefront of the NHS and we are the first port of call for our patients, and understand what your role is, which is helping and supporting our patients, but also give them safe and effective care as well. So I think that understanding that is really, really important. And then improving your communication skills by working with your trainer, do audio cuts, do video recordings, do combined surgeries, and all of those things are going to help you in improving your skills. And I did all of those things just to help myself in this journey. Then I went on to do my placement in gynae and obstetrics, which was another 6 months, and then I went on to do my ST3. And to be honest, that was the hardest ever job I've done throughout my whole career. Obviously we all done medicine, you know, the final year is the hardest year. For some people, they say it's fourth year is the hardest year, but whatever that might be. But believe me when I say that nothing compares to that from ST3. This is perhaps going to be the most difficult year ever you are going to experience. So be ready for that. You have to work really hard. Obviously, in addition to working hard, you're going to be learning, and there's going to be a steep learning curve. But in addition to that, you're going to focus on your portfolio. You got that to worry about. You're going to worry about all the mini caxes and the equip and all those other things which you have to do for your portfolio, in addition to that for your exam. So my experience with the exam wasn't great, and I have a confession to make here. I did actually fail my AKT twice, and the reason wasn't that I wasn't capable. I didn't really understand the science behind it or the system. It was just I was having difficulty knowing that knowledge and then applying that knowledge into my day-to-day life. That's what probably caused me problems, and I was taking a bit longer to think about how I'm going to apply that knowledge, and I think language plays a part in that as well. So hence I recommend you focus really on the language side of things as well. Then I took a little bit more time to really focus on those key skills, and then I left it and I did my CSA and AKT quite close by, so that I was prepared for that. And actually I did fail my CSA first time as well. So I passed my CSA second time, and I passed my AKT third time, and I have no shame in saying that. The reason for that is most of these people who come from various different countries, they are highly qualified people, and some of the usually high flyers, we're usually quite good at what we do, but when we come here there's a lot more to learn, and that slows us down. And on top of that, if English isn't your first language, that's going to add on to the burden as well, and that's also going to slow you down. So my advice would be try not to worry too much about that, but focus on the language, focus on the job at hand, work with your trainer. You see more and more patients. The more patients you see, the easier it's going to get. So I worked on all of those skills, and then once I worked on those skills of communication and how to treat people with dignity, with respect, and how to diagnose and how to manage, then I had really good experience in my CSA. I passed my CSA with flying colours, as they say, second time. And before that, I did my AKT as well, which again I passed quite comfortably. So once I kind of understood the system and sort of worked on those skills, then it was easy enough for me. So I did have to take an extension for 6 months, which in long scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. It was a big deal for me at the time. And I was thinking all of those negative feelings which goes through your mind, am I not capable, am I not good enough? I've seen the examples of people who have been through this whole process of exam, and they weren't able to pass, and as a result of that they had to go out of the training. So all of those things are sort of messing up with my head, but then I had to do something, and it was quite a difficult time, and the comfort and the strength which I took at that time was from my family and also my faith as well. I'm a practicing Muslim, and at that time I started to pray more. I started to focus more on my relationship with my Lord, and started to pray more and started to read Quran more, which helped me with my anxiety and with my stresses, and my faith helped me to understand that whatever happens, all we're meant to do is try our best, and whatever happens we leave that in the hands of God. And that's what I did, and that's helped me to cope with that situation, but also relaxed me a little bit as well. And as a result of that, I was able to focus on the job at hand, which was obviously a lot of learning and a lot of upskilling, which I managed to do. And I'm grateful to God that I passed. Like I said, now I'm here in front of you. And that's where I got this passion of teaching from, because I thought there's quite a lot that I have, and I wanted to give that and share that knowledge so that other people who are in similar situation or from similar background, they can benefit from this knowledge as well. So hopefully you would have learned something from this video, and you would have picked up some of those lessons. If you haven't, I'll just summarize it for you. So I'm going to summarize those lessons for you. Number one, focus on your communication skills. Make sure your ears are tuned to listening, and make sure you adopt the accent of people who are born and bred here, and in that way hopefully you're not going to have any major issues. Try to pick up on the cues and try to address those as part of your conversation. Don't try and make your conversation formulaic so that people can sort of see that you're just being robotic, but just trying to make a normal conversation. Work hard. You're going to need to work really hard, because MRCGP isn't easy. It's not an easy specialty, and communication is the key. The more you work on your communication, the better it is, the easier it is. As far as the exams are concerned, try not to worry too much about them. Try not the negativity of things get to you, but focus on the job at hand. Try and see more and more patients, and if you don't know anything, then go and look it up. That's how you're going to learn. The more time you spend with your patient, the easier it is going to be for you to pass those exams. Those exams are not just made up, they come from normal sort of patients and the questions which we have from patients, so they're based on that. So the more you're able to deal with those, the easier it'll be for you to pass those exams. You're going to be a little bit slower than your peers. Try not to worry too much about it. You're probably not going to be the best. You can be the best, but it's probably going to take you maybe a few months longer. So try not to worry too much about that. So if you have to take extra time, take extra time. If you have to take an extension, take an extension. Doesn't really matter. In long scheme of things, it doesn't matter at all. And the next important lesson is have a good relationship with your trainer. And the better relationship you have with your trainer, the easier it's going to be for you. If you have any other question, you can ask me in the comments below. Hopefully you'll find this video helpful, and I'll see you in the next video. Up until then, bye bye.